Welcome to Bootstrapped Unicorns. I'm your host, Josh Pies, the chief attention getter and hippie capitalist at C47 Digital Studios. This show is an exploration of entrepreneurship because it's important to hear people's inspirational stories of where they were and where they're going and how they've gotten to where they are. But even more important is to glean all those tactical, actionable data points that we can use on our own journeys as we grow our businesses and we can say, yes, we bootstrapped to become a unicorn.
Oh Lord, the man from across the pond is here today. I can't wait to have this conversation. You are in for a treat. My new friend, Lord Neil, is on the show today. Who's Lord Neil? We're going to learn all about him in a second. And before we go too far, let's get the baseline housekeeping out of the way. You know, you are watching Bootstrapped Unicorns. You know I'm Josh Pies, the chief attention getter here at C47 Films. And you know why we meet on this podcast. It's about entrepreneurship. It's about growing you as an entrepreneur, as a would-be entrepreneur, or helping you understand entrepreneurship because somebody in your life is on that pathway, and maybe you can help them, maybe you can support them. You can be a part of their story and their journey by being helpful and useful with the things that you learn on this show. So we are passionate about it. We want you to grow. That is the position we take. And we hope that you emotionally are going to put yourself in that position right now that you want to grow. And you're looking for every opportunity to learn something here because I promise there's always something on the show to walk away with in a positive way. So before I go any further, I also have to thank HireVP. HireVP is our sponsor. We are proud to work with them. If you have heard of the term virtual assistant, I'm sure you have. They are a staffing company that does all of the work to find and place the right VA, which, by the way, they're VPs now. Understand that they're virtual professionals. They're not just people booking tables for you at a restaurant. They're not just people handling your travel. You can get architects, engineers, designers, editors. You can get really high-level executive assistants. You can get all that stuff from a virtual professional, and HireVP is our VP placement company of choice. We have multiple VPs placed, and we are loving every bit of it. If you want the same for your business, hirevp.us/unicorns is where you can go. Again, it's hirevp.us/unicorns. Go check that out. You can get 10% off your first 3 months of service from HireVP if you go to that landing page, and make sure if you talk to Scott or Chloe, you say Josh and the team say hi. So without further ado, I want to get to Lord Neil. Mr. Neil, let's start with a really important question. How did you become a Lord?
Firstly, thank you very much for having me today, Josh. I appreciate that. Thank you. From across the pond, love it. It's a long swim, so I thought I'd stay here and you can participate where you are. Yeah, I haven't got the arm
if I
pads
start
of it.
swimming from here, there's actually gator danger before there's shark danger, and so I'm just out.
So from the other side of the pond, i.e., England. How did I get my lordship? I'm gonna try and not be facetious, but it's probably part of my makeup. There's a lot of lords in the UK, and the majority of them, there's a huge amount of skullduggery that goes on. So the majority of them pay for their lordship. Now, on my 50th birthday, a couple of my friends bought me a lordship. So I am now Lord Neil Giller. I have a 2x2 pitch of land. It's somewhere in Scotland. I'm going to take everyone there on holiday. I could just imagine all of us just standing upright on my little bit of land. So it's all bought. It's all bought. If they can buy it, I can buy it as well.
So I love it though that this is what was so charming because I knew you could buy lordship, and it's been advertised to me like, Josh, become a lord. I'm like, I might just do that, but it feels weird for me to buy my own lordship. The fact that your friends love you so much to be like, no, he's a lord now. That is where the cool factor for me comes in. So that's awesome.
Well, listen, since they've got it from me, they now have to bow and curtsy when they speak to me.
Which they probably did not expect the unintended consequence.
It's their fault, Josh. They put it forward, yeah?
I absolutely love it. So, hey, we just had an interesting senior moment for the internet here where it completely blanked out. Did you see that too?
I did. Don't worry about it. I feel like it's me the majority of the time with a senior moment.
Well, and I'm approaching that age as well, so it's all good. So we're just gonna keep rolling. But so your friends, they're bowing, they're curtsying, and I don't think you make your clients do that. But I want to talk a little bit about, because you and I went full philosophical the last time we hung out, and I think we got to go there again, because it was really, I almost felt like we should have just been recording. But your practice, you are a coach at the simplest. But could you describe, what are you doing for clients, and what type of clients are you doing it for?
Okay, so thanks. I think there's a background to it.
Okay.
I'm not a massive lover of coaches, stroke mentors that go out there and rip people off that haven't been there, seen it, and done it. Josh,
that is a real problem. There's a lot of them.
It's massive. You can't just walk out of a corp job or just decide that you're going to be a mentor and coach. So I fortunately ran a very large business with my brother. It was a family business for 26 years, and mental health shut that business down. My brother is a manic depressive, and there was a choice. It was either him or the business. Hasten to say, he's still here. Yeah, and that's what's the most important thing.
That's everything.
So being in that, and I don't mind admitting, it also got me as well, because I was one man down. We had 68 staff, 450 clients. It was massive, Josh. It was just too much. So I decided, life or work. That was at the age of 47 years old. And I'd been working since I was thrown out of school at 15 years old. So I decided what I was going to do was just step back, have a little look at this madness, the rat race that's going on. You've got to shed loads of money to be happy. Well, do you know what? I think you've got to be happy to earn shed loads of money. So I've completely flipped it on its head. And there was a couple of things that did it. First of all, mental health is a massive part of who I am. I'm a massive advocate as a middle-aged man. I think that the stigma's now broken. We can now say what we want to say. And as a business owner that had won so much good work, lost so much good work, lost money, won money. We've all been there before, driven the cars, not had enough money to put petrol in, etc. I'd been there, and I thought there's got to be someone out there that can just be there for these small to medium-sized enterprise owners. So I went on this journey. I went and did all my mental health qualifications. I went on lots of seminars that other people were doing, and I thought, I want to do this, but I want to do it differently. I want my clients to think to themselves, I really wish I had someone to speak to, but I can't afford to have a CEO or a partner or someone buy into the business. Wouldn't it be good if I had someone like that? So I went into this small to medium-sized enterprise of professional jugglers, I call us, because that's all we're doing. We're just juggling these balls, and one of them will drop, and we'll carry on. We'll pick that one up, and we'll keep going. And I wanted to help them to understand that your life's got to come first of all, because if you're not healthy, if you don't get up in the morning and look after your most important asset, which is yourself and your time, the work's not important. Yeah, you can have all the watches, all the cars, all the holidays, all the clothes, etc., but look after yourself and the rest will fall into place. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. So using all the tools that I've learned from running that said business, I now deal with some beautiful, beautiful human beings that I'm really proud of. I'm fortunate enough to have two stunning, gorgeous daughters, 27 and 22. And the pride that I have in them, I have in my clients as well. It's a different kind of pride. You understand?
Oh, of course. But I mean, they almost become your kids. They're not quite a project, right? A project you can put down, but people that you care about, you can't put down.
So one of my clients this morning, so the last session, what we did was they were doing a 10-minute presentation, and they really didn't know how to put it together. We put it together over a couple of weeks, and yesterday, they were doing it this morning. Yesterday, we ran through it, and it was phenomenal, right? They were brilliant. They understood what they were doing, why they were doing it, how they were doing it, the delivery. They had takeaways. There was just ideas galore that they put all together. And this morning, I was awake at 6 o'clock. Their meeting started at 7 o'clock. I pinged them at 6 o'clock. Go smash it out the park. And they were like, oh.
It's okay. I noticed.
Yep. So thank you very much. Really appreciate you. Now I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I love that. I love that 2-3 months ago they couldn't stand up and say boo to a goose, but now they've just smashed a 10-15 minute presentation. It's a beautiful thing, you know. It really is.
So there's so much to unpack for a second here, because I just heard you closed a successful business to protect your family.
Yep.
You know, and a mutual decision with you and your brother, which is amazing. So I want to ask a little bit about that.
Yep.
I heard that you got kicked out of school at 14. I must know about this. and I love how you had the presence of mind to, I don't think it's required that a coach remember at 6 a.m. to say, go smash it, but the great ones do. And so we can just, I think we should all just sit here and go, that feels right when somebody does something like that. And it felt great for you, right?
Okay, I was up anyway. And the first thing that came to my mind was, this guy's doing his presentation. Let me just give him a little bit extra, vroom, yeah? Well done. And I saw, as soon as I wrote it, he wrote back straight away as if to go, I was expecting this and I'm really happy that I got it, kind of thing, you know? Recognition. I made a post today. It's a beautiful saying, Josh. Recognition. Babies cry for it and soldiers die for it. It's a beautiful saying. It really, really is. And that's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. You just got to recognize people.
That's awesome. Actually, I hadn't heard that phrase. It's very eloquent. I like that. Miller, if we can maybe put a pin in that phrase and make sure that we use that around here too, I think that's awesome.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, for those of you who are watching and listening, you know, Miller is operating today. He's in the studio. So if I reference Miller, it's Miller from C47. So I'm very curious. Hard decisions are hard, and recognizing the need for them sometimes is even harder. And so you and your brother were in a business. May I ask, what were you guys doing?
We owned a mailing house. So we did a lot of print, procurement, a lot of mailing procurement, envelopes, postage, door-to-door distribution. We were basically like the end of the marketing line. So we just sent all the old school flares marketing, i.e. you used to get an envelope that had a call to action in it. So yeah, it was a great business. It lessened us, and I've used the correct terminology there. It proper lessoned us how to look after a business, how to look after staff, how to look after clients. What it didn't teach us how to look after ourselves, which again, going back, which is why I do what I do now. Yeah.
Right. When did you notice though? Because so you did it for how many years?
26.
Okay, so for 26 years, you were deep in this business, learning all sorts of lessons, and it's good to learn those lessons, but then you kind of had this hard lesson creeping in the background where it's, you're not taking care of yourself. At what point was there some awareness, and did you immediately take action, or did it take a while for you to accept that?
No. I think I did the man thing, just put my fingers in my ears and no. I'm ignoring this. I'm ignoring this. I think it started when I worked out that the world was a changing place. It wasn't going to be sending envelopes out and printed matter and ruining rainforests to get some paper. So I think it kind of 2015-ish, there was a decline in the market, right? And it's what you turned around and said. I said, no, I'm not seeing it. Then all of a sudden you see there's a couple more clients that fall off. So there's 3 that fall off, 1 that comes in, another 3 that fall off, 1 that comes in. And it just becomes a point where it becomes sticky, I think the word that I'm going to use. Yeah. Now, it wasn't a joint decision. So there's more to this. Cool. In the September of 2016, my brother who suffers with a mental health, is a clinic depressive. Yeah. He had an episode in the office. My parents are very close to us. I asked my mum to come and get him, and we had to section him for 5 months. Yeah. So for any of those you don't know, I mean, I'm not saying that your people are ignorant, but when you section someone, you take every single right away from them, and you have to make the decisions on their behalf. Now, right. For your best friend for 40 odd years, my ally, my backwatcher, my brother, my business partner, for that to go in a foul swoop, I kind of had to turn around and go, whoa, 1 second. And a lot of people say to me, what was it that did it? Well, when you're a manic depressive, it's not one thing that does it. It's like phyllo pastry, mille-feuille. So it's like thousands. Mille-feuille stands for 1,000 layers, right? So it's not that one layer. It's the 25 layers behind it that finally cracked that top layer. So I tried to run the business with staff for another 3 months, and there's a terminology that's out there for mental health sufferers. They'll know it's called the black dog. The black dog came and visited me, and that's what I refer to as depression.
Got it.
Right. So the black dog is kind of like you cuddle it, and it looks up to you, and it snuggles up to you, and it's there for you, in a good way and a bad way. So when I got over that, I woke up. I know the date. It was the 2nd of December 2017. I took a whole 3 days off of work because I had a business to run. And I went on happy pills for a little bit. I don't mind saying it, you know?
Yeah, got it.
I don't mind saying it. And I got to a point where it was like, no. And so that was in December. At the beginning of April, I shut the business down whilst my brother was still sectioned. So it was a difficult conversation, relationship changer when he came out. This is what we've done. This is why we've done it. So it lessened us. And do you know, a lot of people turn around and think that I've used that day very flippantly. The 2nd of December 2017 was kind of a wake-up call. This isn't a rehearsal, Josh. This
is life.
It is what it is. And I'm always told you've got to be careful of people that say that. But I don't want to get morbid. Every day above ground is a great day.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a great day, and you know I'm not going like all mad or religion wise. We should praise whoever it is, even if it's just ourselves, just waking up every single morning. You know,
yeah.
I've been for a walk.
Every day is a victory. You know, it's if you're breathing. It's you might be having a bad day. You might have a whole bunch of losses for the day, yet you're still breathing.
Listen, good times don't last, but neither do bad times.
That's 100% true.
Sorry.
So I'm curious. You know, you're good. I'll ask a question while you're resetting the camera. The time that your brother came out and you had to kind of explain what happened had to be a challenging conversation. You know, he's expecting the status quo when he gets out maybe, and now he's getting something completely different. I'm just curious, and you don't have to go too deep into the conversation, but, you know, a little bit on what was that like, and how is it this many years later? Is he doing well? Do you still have a relationship?
Right, so check this out. We sat opposite each other for 26 years. I was sat here, my brother was sat there. We basically had each other's backs. I am the younger brother. There's 11 months and 3 weeks difference. My father said there was no colour television at the time, but that's his excuse.
Wow.
But that's close. And I was the youngest, but I was the doer, the runner, the front of house. Seeing as he was a depressive, he was very much the back of house. So we would, I wouldn't say argue badly, but we had different views on the way that the business should be done and what should be done and why it should be done. The conversation was heartbreaking, Josh. Heartbreaking, because I was speaking to a broken man that was trying to put himself back together, and he thought he was going to come back, go back to where it was. But If he would have gone back to that, he wouldn't be here anymore. So I think the terminology is, I was the one that had to be cruel to be kind. Right. You know, now, is he still here? Absolutely 100%. Is he still a beautiful human being? My brother will always be someone that I look up to. I love him to bits and pieces. But we no longer are in each other's pockets. We no longer sit with each other. We no longer talk on a regular basis. It'll be when it needs to be done. You know, right. So that's
well, it's a big change.
It's relationships, isn't it? You know,
it is. So, but it's interesting though that, I mean, some people might predict that would destroy where you would no longer talk to each other, you know, and so I think there's, you know, it wasn't the end of the road as a family.
No,
because I'm going to tell you, truth be told. So, my father worked for me in my business years ago. Lesson learned, he probably shouldn't have. And we had a lot of other family members working for us. So I basically owned a family business in my 20s. And one of the things my father used to say, which was very manipulative, but it was, you can't hire and fire family. You vote them in or you vote them out. His phrase, verbatim. And so the idea that, you know, like my brother who worked for me was a great fit for the industry. He was a great fit. He was a hard worker. He did a really good job. And when he had to interface with customers, they loved him. He was a great fit for the industry. My cousin was a great fit as a temporary worker to help him out, but he wasn't a long-term fit. And so had he wanted to stay, I would have had to have a conversation with him that I love you too much to let you stay here and have him leave. But we had a culture led by my own dad that said, you vote them in or vote them out. So if I let him go, then that was me saying you are no longer part of the family. And we actually had an instance where I had a nephew working for me who was not only doing a terrible job, but breaking things deliberately because he had some other things happening with him. And so I had to let him go. And unfortunately, he knew the phrase. And I think that was, he's self-removed. So nobody sees him. And I wasn't the straw that broke the camel's back or anything. I was in a chain of other things with him because obviously he had some stuff going on, but nobody hears from him. And so it was a very toxic thing that we had going on over here in my family because you vote them in or vote them out. And what I love is your story is one proof that your brother is still voted in. There is no vote out with business. You know, you made some business decisions on behalf of the family.
Absolutely.
And so I love that because I think there's so many entrepreneurs who have family businesses where it's dangerous in your heart as much as it is dangerous in your business. If you don't have to.
I speak to a lot of my clients. We're just going through something at the moment. They want to employ the brother-in-law, and I'm like, no, please don't. And they were like, yeah, but they're qualified. I went, yeah, I'm aware they're qualified, but it's just too close, and I do not want to fall in that. I've had it with clients before, best friends wanting to go into business, and I'm like, guys, please don't. Tell you what, we'll corner the market together, right? But please don't go into the business together. It's just not right for you. I don't want to ruin that relationship. Fortunately, listen, if I needed to I can pick the phone up and tell my brother that I love him at any point. That's a bonus, yeah? That's a bonus. So I think I should have been born in the 60s, really, because I'm very... Come on, man. Let's just get on with this stuff, you know. I'm not here to hurt anyone, kind of thing, you know.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny you say that. So, years ago, I was privileged to be a part of a group that founded a co-working facility, and in order to foster, because it was new back then, right? And so it was a whole bunch of people who needed office space, who ended up finding a landlord who was struggling to rent a specific piece of land. So we fractionalized it, but then we had too much space. So then we started getting subletting going, and suddenly we have this like hippie capitalist commune. And so we ended up having hippie capitalist commune Fridays, and we would get people together and sit around a table and work on each other's businesses and pass business to each other. And we would just kind of grow together. And I love that you're kind of like peace, love, businessman, because I feel like if you actually care about other people's businesses almost irrationally, and you're willing to just help and see things for what they are and be the cool guy, you still got to do business, and sometimes there's hard decisions, but that attitude led to so much positivity, so much business growth. It launched new businesses. I think you're on to something.
It's a choice, and going out there and saying what I said before about how other coaches are perceived and the way that I'm perceived. I don't charge a fortune for what I do, but boy, do I get you results, and am I there for you? You know, you have to care. You know, I often say to my clients, right, there are 3 things that you need in a business, and it's called a PhD. Right, we've all got a PhD, us people running a business. It's passion, heart, and desire. If you can put those 3 things together, trust me, your business is going to flourish.
Say that again. It's passion,
heart, and desire. PhD. So as business owners, we've all got a PhD. Listen, like I gave myself a lordship, I'm giving myself a PhD. I got thrown out of school at 14. I've got to take something, Josh.
Hey, you just queued it up. What the heck happened? What'd you do? Come on.
Okay, I'm going to just phrase it like this, right? I told them I was going to burn the porter cabin classroom down.
You didn't. Oh, really?
Yeah.
What would possess you to do that?
A myriad of things. Do you know what? I suffered quite a lot at school. I wasn't understood. If we listen, we're talking like 80s. People didn't understand the ADHD. They didn't understand the deficits. They didn't understand that if kids were like acting up and speaking out, that it wasn't their fault, kind of thing, you know. So I wasn't naughty. I wasn't nasty. Let's put it like that.
Okay, you weren't nasty, but you were naughty.
I was so naughty. It was like, I mean, let's put it like this. If the fire alarms went off, the first person they looked for was Neil Giller, right? That was the first person they looked for. If there was a mutiny, like a class got up and walked out, the first person they walk up to is, "What happened, Mr. Giller?" Right? It was just, I just enjoyed causing aggravation, right? It was just the way that I was. I wasn't nasty. I was just naughty. So yeah, I got asked to leave. I got asked to leave.
So I absolutely love this, and so I'm sorry that childhood Neil had to have those feelings and those struggles. However, so my daughter, my middle child, so Natalie, she is she is labeled and she's got the IEP in the United States. IEP, Individualized Education Plan, helps her have extra time, helps her focus. She's a kinesthetic learner, and the modern factory version of education doesn't work for a kinesthetic learner. So it's just challenging for her. And so last night she came home with some test scores and she was embarrassed because they were low. And so I did what I always do. I sat her down and asked her why she was feeling embarrassed about these test scores and what it would do to her. So one, we established that it's not going to damage immediate life. And then we established that it's not necessarily going to damage future life, because we went through and talked about heroes of our culture and our society and tried to have a real discussion about who's ADHD, who's on the autism spectrum, and who all these people who have different labels, different challenges, were terrible students, and then had a great adulthood. And so guys like Elon Musk, who's self-proclaimed on the autism spectrum, he said he's Asperger's, which they don't use anymore. But it's Elon Musk, man. And so she's huge. She thinks Tesla is the coolest thing ever, and she loves SpaceX. And we get to see the launches from our house, so we know that SpaceX happens and launches all the time.
But you've also got someone like Richard Branson as well, one of the biggest people in the world that stood there and said school wasn't for me. You know, that guy's shut down more companies than the majority of people have opened up. And I said that correctly. And this is a guy. I mean, listen, for me, one of the most beautiful things is I go into the local schools and talk to them about what happens after school. You don't have to go to university. You don't have to study. You don't have to do what everyone is telling you to do.
Yes.
Right? So for me, I could look at it and go, "Oh, woe is me! I didn't get taught well at school." Well, no. On the flip side, how fantastic! I got an opportunity to start understanding life at the age of 14 and a half, 15, and being around people, understanding the way that they worked and they behaved and they treated people. And I'm fortunate. I can look at every single passage of my life and say, right, that person was there, they guided me. That person was there, they guided me. But that's not luck. That's me being in the right place because I was meant to be there.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't rocket science, this stuff. And for me, these kids being told that they're not clever enough or they've got to achieve this or do that. My first daughter went to university and got a first and is now a mechanical engineer. My second daughter got thrown out of school but qualified as a patissier. Right. So it's what you said to your daughter, which I loved as well, right? And what I always turn around and said to my daughters, and what I say to every one of my clients, did you, even though you think you failed, did you at the time do the best that you thought you could? And do you know what the answer is every single time? Yeah, I did.
There you have it.
And no one goes out of their way to make a mess up, do they?
Right. Well, and it's amazing how those mess ups are not life ending. It's so many people fear failure so much that they walk into a moment with such fear and trepidation that it actually damages their opportunity to succeed because the fear is so high, instead of being prepared that if they don't fully succeed or completely fail, there's so much opportunity in that.
Do you know what? It's kind of like turning around and saying, if I don't ask the question, I won't get anything. Do you know what? Ask the question. If you don't get anything, you've asked the question. And if you do, well done for asking the question. You know, this fear of failure, you know, animals, and I watch a lot of wildlife. Now, and the majority of animals have got their eyes on the side. Do you know why? So they can see everything that's around them, right? They can see everything that's around them. They're born knowing to fear everything and see everything around them. They've got to live their lives in fear. Well, we're exactly the same, but we've got a choice. Either you live your life in fear or you turn around and you going back to it. It is what it is. I know for a fact if something bad happens today, I'm not going to like it. I'm not going to like it, but it ain't going to last. It's not going to last, right? It's as simple as that. If we lose people, the pain's there right away. The pain's there. It's awful. But it just gets less and less over the time, and it's exactly the same with good things and bad things. I love what you said to your daughter there. We as parents are doing the right thing, but we as a society, and I keep my eye on the education, we as a society have got it so wrong when it comes to education. It's disgraceful. Yeah, it really, really is.
I know. And I'm frustrated here in the US because I feel like there's so much money in the system and so, union influence to protect retirements and things. Not that, I mean, of course, you and I both understand you got to work, you got to build your retirement and stuff, but there's so much protection to keep the system going that nobody's willing to do the hard thing and go, I'm shutting the whole system off. We got to start over. We got to start over.
Yeah, we got to think. We got to have a little bit of a rethink here. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But isn't it mad? The people at the bottom, i.e., us paupers, we know what needs to be done. But the people, this is becoming political. And I was always told you never speak about politics, religion, or football, otherwise known as soccer over there to you lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who do you cheer for football?
Tottenham Hotspur.
Okay, I don't know enough about football. That is something I've never even heard of. I know Manchester United, obviously everybody is aware of.
Everyone knows Man United.
And then Wrexham, thanks to
your guys. Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I stop. And we're in a soccer city. We have the Orlando Pride and the Orlando help me out here, Miller. Orlando Soccer Club. What's the men's club? We've got the Pride and we've got Orlando City Soccer.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah. So, I mean, I am so not a soccer fan or football fan, but we're in a major football city and I'm trying to reset myself to, I'm a baseball player.
Right.
And so it's like the only sport I understand.
Right. So for me, I've played football, soccer, as you guys call it, since the age of 4 years old. I'm still playing twice a week.
Really?
And,
that's great.
Yeah, and I use that. Well, I have to because of this. Because when I'm doing that, right, all I'm doing is I'm looking after my other. So I play five-a-side soccer. I'm looking after the other 4 people on my team, and that's all I've got to concentrate for an hour, right? So I do that twice. And at the age of 53, I'm very proud of myself that I'm still doing that twice a week.
That's great. Well, it's super healthy. I need to get back into something.
Yeah. The body doesn't like it. I can tell you that for a fact, Josh.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking about getting back into martial arts. I'm waiting to get doctor cleared because I was in an auto accident, and so they're like, "No, you can't do that." But as soon as I can, I want to get back in.
It's good for up here, you know, and it's good to work on yourself. It works on your soul as well. Any of this stuff that you're doing, Josh.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So, I give us permission for a second to ruminate on education because you're a successful person who struggled with education.
Yes.
I don't know whether I want to call myself successful or not, but I am very happy in life. So on that level, I'm successful. Because who knows what the definition of success is?
Right, okay. So someone said to me a while ago, what's your definition of wealth? And my reply to him was waking up every single morning. They went, no, I didn't mean that. I went, one second. 1 sec. You asked me a plain, simple question, and I gave you my answer. That it's not the one that you thought it was going to be, or you didn't think about it. What you wanted me to say was, I want £1 million in my pocket. Well, that's not my definition of wealth. My definition of wealth is waking up, still having both of my 2 beautiful parents, 81 and 82 years old, that I can speak to, and they can aggravate the living daylights out of me, which they do really, really well. I don't call them my parents. Hi, Mum, Dad. I don't call them my parents anymore. I call them my inheritance, and they know that, right? I keep saying to them, please stop spending my money. Seriously, right?
Oh, that's funny.
But that's my definition of wealth. Let's wake up in the morning. Let's say hello to our loved ones. It's beautiful sunshine. I'm going out for a walk afterwards. Josh, that's my wealth for me. And do you know what? I'm lucky. I'm blessed enough that I've got a bit of money in my pocket that if I want to stop for a coffee and a cake or something to eat or whatever it is, I can do. You know?
Yeah.
I can do.
Awesome.
So that's my definition of wealth. Waking up.
Well, so you're a wealthy person. By that definition, I'm a very wealthy person.
Good.
And I'm interested in your solution. Just one person. You suddenly are the president of the world. King, you're king and queen all at the same time of the entire globe, and you can set the education system right per your definition. What do we do? What's the right answer?
Do you know what? There's not many people that stump me, but I think one of the first things we need to do, and this is going to sound really, really random. I've got the answer. I've just come up with the answer. I'll tell you what we do. We ask the people that are being educated. And that's quite a simple solution, isn't it? Because instead of deciding what we're going to be giving them, why don't we ask them what they would like? You know, and I'm not talking about all this woke crew, and I don't know how that word's used. It's been so overused. I don't want people to turn around and say, you can't do that. Well, you can do it. You've got to go and ask the people that are being taught. How do you want to be taught? I've got some clients that if I'm nice to them and ask them to get stuff done, it doesn't get done. If I put a deadline on them and tell them that if I don't get it done, I'm going to kick their ass, they get it done. That's coaching. Well, it's exactly the same. We have to work out that teaching is coaching as well. So let's go and ask the kids that, you know what, from the age of 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. You know, we send our kids out in the UK having spent an absolute fortune in the colleges, and they can't interview. They don't know how to budget. They don't know what a mortgage is. They don't understand that they've got to put diesel or petrol in their vehicle. They don't understand about APR. They don't, but they understand geometry and algebra and trigonometry.
And somebody's going to need that because they're the future engineers.
I'm not disrespecting that.
Right, exactly. But
I'm
we need to figure out who needs it.
But I'm not a future architect, right? I mean, one of the most beautiful things that I was told at school, and I use it quite a lot, I do a talk called Sit Down and Shut Up. Okay? And it's the first slide that I've got. It's in black and white, sit down and shut up. So when you walk onto the stage and I walk onto a track, I walk on and all of a sudden I go click. And it's big, sit down and shut up. Everyone's like, it's dead, it's quiet. I don't mean to do that, but I turn around and say, guys, could you guys, do me a favour. If in life you've ever heard this, could you please stand up or put your hand up? Do you know what? Everyone stands up.
Yeah.
Everyone stands up. Now, my story is I was told to sit down and shut up at school. Sit down and shut up, Mr. Giller. Isn't it strange that 40 odd years later, I now stand up and talk for a living?
Right. You were told to spend time in the opposite, and you were meant to do what they told you not to do.
Yeah. So if I would have listened to them, it's like if you keep calling the kids stupid, do you know what's going to happen? They're going to end up playing the fool.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So sit down, shut up. We've all heard it before. No, do me a favour. Stand up, say what you want to say. And if people don't like it, especially in today's world, that's not your problem, that's theirs.
Yeah.
I had to rearrange the glasses because that was powerful there. That was really powerful.
Yeah, that's an emphasis moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I got into that part. Absolutely.
Well, I love it. So going to the student and finding out what they're interested in, who they think they are and believe they are, and finding a way to foster more of that.
The world's changing on a daily basis,
yep.
And we are still using an archaic form of education across the world. It's madness. Let me add a little sideline here. How fortunate our children are that they are being educated, because there are plenty of places in the world where kids are not educated, right?
Sure.
So
I'll take the blessing, but I think we can do better.
Absolutely 100%. I had to look at the blessing, though. Does that make sense to you, Josh?
Oh, I'm with you. And I think the attitude's right to appreciate that we have something compared to the terrible nothing. So I'll tell you, I'm going to give you part of my answer because I do not believe I've got it solved. But after watching my kids, they're such different learners. I think we need to ask. Your version of asking makes so much sense to me. When we've got the adult asking the question, though, discovering their learning style so that we can put them in the environment to allow them to learn, I think is really important. But the other thing that I think is, to your point, like, oh, okay, I know geometry, but I don't know what APR and APY is. You know, things like that are really concerning to me. But there's a whole generation of kids right now when they are faced with APR, APY, anything like that, where it's like, oh, this is tied to finances, I can tell, but I don't know what any of this means. They actually don't know how to go learn about it because we aren't equipping people with the skill set to become lifelong learners.
Well, it's not even that.
We'll ram facts and figures, but we don't teach them how to go solve their own problems. So I think required in all of the asking, like, okay, you're interested in this, you want to grow in this way. Sure, we're going to put you in the room in a way where you can be kinesthetic and foster all of these things, but you do have to listen, and we got to find a way of delivering it in the right way, on the topic of learning on your own.
Absolutely.
So I can impart that.
Absolutely. It's called self-discipline.
Yeah.
And we all learn differently. So I can't be expected to learn the same as you. And it's always amazed me, this education system. And the older that I get, I understand it. I get it. I understand it. And I'm doing that for a reason, right? You stay where you are, right? The ones that can grow through that little concrete wall, right? You're the ones that are going to run the world, or you're the ones that are going to run the banks. So, right? The rest of you, you stay where we're educating you to, right?
That's it. We hold you down by giving you this gift of education.
Absolutely. And again, Dad, I'm sorry I'm talking about politics. I do apologise.
I'm not sorry.
Religion won't come into it,
need
Dad.
to have these conversations. So I'm on the school board in Kissimmee, Florida, okay? And I'm there witnessing educators who are genuine, true educators. They have the children at heart 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're there for the kids. However, they're still stuck in a system with all sorts of requirements and legal and regulatory rules that pin them to a system that they too would like to break out of.
Absolutely.
If they only do it. So it's
that's
not
the other
teacher,
thing as well. So there you go.
It's the system.
Right. So it'll just be the red tape. So instead of us asking, so inclusive of us asking the students, do you know who we should be asking as well? The teachers. So that's where we should be going, because you'd probably get somewhere about there if you asked them, right? Instead of, I've got to do this. It's a difficult one. It's a difficult one. It really is. It's a difficult, because we all learn differently, don't we?
We do. Hey, on that note, one of the things that I know, so I've got a business coach myself. I'm learning all the time. He's challenging me, and he's good. It's very dialectical in our conversation where, a lot of questions are asked. I have to come up with the answers, and there's a lot going on there. And you have such great clarity from your business perspective, your personal care perspective, your understanding of learners and how they learn. And we're talking kids, but we adults who have businesses are still in that moment where we need to learn. Talk to me a little bit about how you're handling coaching. And you and I've off camera, we've talked about how, you've got clients who just signed £500,000 on a single contract, and other clients that have 10x their businesses, and all of these things from their relationship with you. What are you doing, or what is the style? Or I don't quite know how to ask this question, to be honest.
I hold a space. Okay, I hold a space for my clients. So what I say to my clients is, once every 2 weeks, we get together for an hour. I want you to bring the 3 things that you perceive to be getting in your way, and we will smash the shit. Excuse my terminology. Sure. We will smash the shit out of those 3 things. And what we're not going to do is we're not going to dwell on them, right? Yeah. We're going to get them sorted, because I believe that every problem has a solution, right? Okay. Every problem has a solution. You've got to have a solution to get you out of a problem, right? But for me, the way that I work, and I know that going back to that coaching thing, I coach football. I've been around football, soccer for many, many years. And I know for a fact that one of the best coaches I ever had treated me differently compared to the guy that stood next to me or the guy that stood in front of me. Because going back to the education, they received it differently to the way that I did. So I was the kind of player that needed an arm around my shoulder, turn around going, well played today, Neil. Brilliant, let's go and do it. Whereas the guy next to me didn't need any of that. He just needed, right, you stick in this position, you play forward, you play back, you play to the left. So for me, what I love people, right? Really? I'm just a lover of people. One of the only books, because I'm dyslexic, that I've read from cover to cover has been How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Now, if any of your listeners are out there, or anyone's watching this, and you don't read, or you don't do anything, or you don't think anything about this positivity thing, Dale Carnegie was one of the first coaches in the world. Yeah. Right. Which the majority of every single coach that I know uses his stuff still to this day.
Even if they haven't read it for whatever reason,
correct,
using it because somebody else has written based on it. And he is the OG who inspired all of the others.
Absolutely, 100%. Right? Absolutely, 100%. So for me, that book's quite integral in the way that I live my life and the way that I look after people. Yeah. Right? So it's down to the making sure I give them that little phone call before they're going in and getting that contract. But I think where you're going with this is I deal with a myriad of things when it comes to my clients, because not all of my clients want the same things. It's going back to that education thing. Some of my clients want to earn 6 figures. Some of them don't want to be in the business. Some of them want to sell the business. Some of them just want a business that looks after them. Some of them don't want to be on the tools anymore. But I deal with the person. One of the biggest things that I'm really proud of, and this is probably going to shock people, I've had clients that have signed £1 million, £500,000, bought new vans, got new staff, grown tenfold. But one of my unbelievable things is I've got a really good client of mine that we worked out he was addicted to something, and instead of putting something up his nose, for the last 374 days, he hasn't put anything up his nose. That's a win, Josh.
Oh, that's beyond a win. He could have killed himself.
But he'd been doing that for so long, and it took for someone like me to be sitting in front of him one day, because sometimes I do face-to-face and sometimes I do it across. Sure. And I sat across from him. It was our third session. It was in the morning. He got there a little bit late. He sat in front of me. He was very hurried and he sat there. And I looked at him and we were talking for about 10 minutes and I looked at him and I looked at my watch and I went, it's 11:15. How many lines have you had already? And he looked at me as if like he was a scolded schoolchild. I went, no, I'm not here to scold you. I'm here to find out what's going on. Right? So we got him to a point where he no longer abuses anything. Nothing else goes up his nose, and it's been like that for 370 odd days now. That's
one of my... How's his business doing, and how is his personal life doing? In short, now that he's fixed that.
It was a mess. It was an absolute mess when because I've been with him for 3 or 4 sessions, and I had an inkling. What was going on, but we had to break everything down. There were certain people that we had to get away from. You understand what I'm saying? So there were certain people that were associated to the business that weren't good for the business, right? Yeah. Got it. So there were some hard choices. You were talking about family and in business. We had to get rid of people because when you've got a work person turning up and they've got whatever it is on them and they sit there the whole day taking it, that person needs to go.
Right. Yep, because they're the gateway to all of the problems. They're the reminder that you can partake. They
need to go. Yeah. And if you're not willing to get rid of them, but we're not willing to have that conversation, I can't work with you. I can't work with you. If you're not willing to have that conversation, you've got to be cruel to be kind. Do you know, it's who we surround ourselves with. There's a saying out there, you are the sum of the 5 closest people that you surround yourself with. Think about it. You behave like the 5 closest people that you surround yourself with. I surround myself with some beautiful, beautiful warriors. And I use the correct terminology there. People who are real, they'll keep it real. They'll understand who I am and why I say what I say when I say it. People that will listen to my bullshit and come back and tell me it's bullshit, right? Or people that will turn around and go, I love your bullshit, but come on. Where's the fairies and the unicorns in this story, Neil? Right? How are we going to make this happen?
Well, the unicorns are on my show, but
yeah, exactly. Do you know what? It's one of the only reasons I came on your show. I love unicorns. What can I say, right? But it's so true. You know, I have to look after my clients. I can't go into one gig, switch the Zoom off, and then go into the same gig with the same mentality. They're a completely different human being.
Yeah.
So I make sure that before I walk into the session, they've got 3 things that we need to deal with. We do a recap on what should have been done and what hasn't been done. Yep. Right, and then what I'll do is I'll impart a little bit of knowledge that's gonna help their business grow. And then they walk away at the end of that hour. Some of them give me a call during the 2 weeks. Some of them ping me WhatsApp, whatever it is, and some of them don't. Some of them turn up for 1 hour every single 2 weeks, and some of them aggravate the living daylights out of me for every single day for 2 weeks. I don't care. Because if I don't want to answer it, guess what happens, Josh? I won't answer it. My time.
Sure. Yeah.
My time.
There you go.
So I look after my clients the way that they deserve to be looked after, which is as them.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, I'll tell you, we do have coaches that listen to this show, and I would like to believe that they, in their hearts, feel like they would do that for their clients, but maybe this is a good call to action for all of the coaches listening.
Can I give you a bugbear of mine whilst you're there? There's a hell of a lot of coaches out there, and you can see the face move. There's a hell of a lot of coaches out there that all they do is count their bank account at the end of every single month because all they've done is deliver that syllabus which needs to be delivered on that month.
Yeah. Is that really coaching, though?
No, it's not coaching. It really, really isn't. It's coaching, it's mentoring, it's cajoling, it's cuddling, it's kicking, it's nudging, it's celebrating, it's enjoying, it's sharing. You know, all those words that I've just used, they flowed out. They flowed out. It's not rocket science, this. You know what? And you don't have to charge a fortune for it. We had a conversation before we started this. I'm having a really good couple of weeks. I've taken on 2 brand new clients. And you said to me, well, a lot of coaches don't take on new clients. I'm blessed. I do. And you know what? Plenty go, plenty come, plenty go, plenty. It's all right with me. It's the attitude you've got to have, isn't it?
It is a great attitude, and it goes right back to you being kind of that hippie commune capitalist guy that you tend to be. But it seems to be paying off not only for you. You're happy as it gets, but the success coming to your client base is real. And so I think the way you're living your practice is really, really instructive. And I really can't get over. Thank you for being so honest about your youth, because there's just so much of the stigma of the bad kids has started to be dispelled in more modern times, that we need more stories of the kids who are off the rails doing some bad stuff and figure out, like, oh my gosh, they grew up and they were actually the world changers. And that is so exciting to me, because it's so liberating if you can see yourself as a success before you're a success.
Don't let anyone tell you how high you can go. Don't let anyone tell you how high you can go. Yeah?
Yes.
If I want to go
that's
up
probably
there,
the name of the episode. Don't let anybody tell you how high you can go. Because that's exactly, I mean, you live it. You're helping others live it. It's really wonderful, Neil.
Thanks, man. Thank you
so much for hanging out with me. We're coming up on the hour mark here, so I want to respect our listeners' time and your time. Before I know we did this last time too, when we were hanging out. We were like at 90 minutes. We're like, we probably should get other stuff done.
Got to get some work done, yeah.
Yeah, but and then if you're doing work right, this is actually work too.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you.
Before I let you go, though, I want to ask you, in entrepreneurship right now, there's a lot of people falling prey to hustle culture, falling prey to a lot of the would-be coaches and influencers out there, and it's really distracting, and nobody knows who to listen to. And so I'd like to listen to Lord Neil for a second. Could you just speak to entrepreneurs today and give us a 1 minute word of orienting encouragement? What will we do well to hear from you today?
Check this out, guys, girls. I think one of the most important things is we've had this conversation already. You do you. And you've said it before, Jess. Jess. Freudian slip, that's my daughter's name, Josh. There's so much stuff out there. Do you know what? If you want to fill your head with every single bit of what's being said, feel free, do so. But you're confusing yourself. There's a fog there. What you need to do is, top tip from me, which I give my clients, is instead of having a to-do list, have a to-done list. And on that to-done list every single day, the first 3 things you should be doing, other than looking after yourself, after looking after yourself, i.e. getting yourself up, going to the gym, going for a walk, really looking after yourself, the first 3 things you should do is business generation. So send an invoice out, follow up, have a conversation with a client, have a conversation with this one. So if those first 3 things that you do every single morning, if you smash all of those, the rest of your day, it's just bonuses. They're just bonuses. So for me, one of the top tips that I give, I know there's loads of top tips, start early and get that to-done list done, because you'll feel fantastic. Stop with a to-do list that's a A4 page long and you never get to the end of it and you're crossing everything off. And whilst you're crossing everything off, guess what you're doing? You're adding more stuff as well. What is your priority first thing in the morning to make your day fantastic? For me, I wake up every single morning, get my ass out of bed, go for a walk, enjoy the sunshine or whatever it is that's going on, listen to the nature, which allows me to carry on for the rest of my day. I do want to say one more thing.
Yeah, go for it.
As someone in my business, there'll always be this imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. Am I doing it right? Because you look at the likes of Tony Robbins and Gary Vee, yeah? Guys, let me just put your minds at rest. You ain't a Gary Vee or a Tony Robbins. They've got a brilliant production company behind them. They've earned an absolute fortune out of charging people a lot of money that are gullible and have paid for it. Sorry, I said it, right? The only competition that you have is the human being that you look in the mirror at every single morning. That's the way I want to finish it. Josh, that's the way I want to finish it. If you can look at that human being and turn around and go, I am doing the best that I can, then you're going to be all right.
Outstanding. So, Lord Neil, how do people find you? I want to make sure people have easy access to find you.
Okay, so you will find me as Lord Neil Giller on LinkedIn. You will find me as I don't hide. So if anyone doesn't like what I've got to say, they know exactly who I am and where to come and find me.
That's fair.
It's Neil Giller. So Giller is spelled. I'm sure it's underneath, but
It
Giller is spelled
Giller, right?
Killer with a G. That's if you don't pay the money. There you go.
Wow. Wow. I love it. All right. Well, I still think we're probably safe around you. Everybody's okay. But, guys, every once in a while I'll have a coach on the show, and I'm going to go to my A camera now. Every once in a while I'll have a coach on the show who has a unique presence and a way of being that I think has great value, and then I'll just start pitching on their behalf. If I needed a business coach right now, I would absolutely be comfortable calling Neil and saying, all right, you're my guy. And so, he doesn't need sales right now. He just signed 2 people this week. He's doing okay. But if you need somebody to be a guide and help you take the next big steps on your entrepreneurial journey, look up Lord Neil Giller at LinkedIn. Go find him, say hello, and kick the tires on what it would be like for maybe the first coach you've ever had. A lot of entrepreneurs won't take that leap for whatever reason. Maybe it feels scary. Maybe it feels like an expense you can't afford. As somebody who is coached, I will tell you it's an expense you can't afford to not pay. You need somebody on your team like this on your behalf. So reach out to Neil, say hello, tell him I sent you. And there's no affiliate thing here, by the way. This is me just saying Neil's awesome and I trust him. So go say hi to Neil. This is the 3rd coach I've ever done this with on my show or even in my career. I think it's worth talking to him. So reach out to Neil. This is an honest endorsement from Josh. On the next episode of Bootstrapped Unicorns, as you always know, I have no clue who's coming up next. I don't watch the schedule. I just know that it's somebody that I already have trusted and vetted in my world, and I want them in your world too. So make sure you tune in, and you can always find us on all of the socials. If you listen on iTunes, go to iTunes. You listen on Spotify, go to Spotify. You watch things on YouTube, yeah, of course we're there. Go find us in any one of the socials and hang out. We will see you on the next episode.